the application process for the next chief started today.
Yes, it did.
Have you submitted your paperwork?
No, not yet. There's a lot of paperwork to submit. You have to resume and a number of questions to answer. So, I think that because the process has just started, I think most applicants will probably take a couple of weeks to get it done, which is a good thing. I mean, there's a lot of information that's required.
Now, 2 of the last 3 police chiefs have been outsiders. How do you feel about the whole thing of internal or an external person being selected?
Well, my personal feeling, and I've been around here a long time, is that we needed an outsider in the last election. I think that the police department and the city had gotten to a point where enough change was needed that nobody, including me, from the inside would have been able to affect it. But I think now that the die has been set, and that we've made changes that the community agrees with, and it feels that their police department is where it's supposed to be, that now is the time that we can put those changes in deeper by having an insider take over the reins. So I think that it's important to recognize that we needed Chief Bratton from the outside to do what he did, and he did a fantastic job. Without him and the mayor's leadership, we wouldn't have gotten where we are now. But now it's time to take over and to internalize all of that stuff, that all the constitutional policing, effective policing that Chief Bratton has instructed us on, and bring it down to the rank and file. And that's most appropriately done by somebody that's inside the department.
Did you also feel that after Chief Darrell Gates that an outsider was needed back in 92, 93 as well?
I was much younger then, and I think you gain perspective as you get older, and you're more mature within the organization. I think at the time, I was a cog in the wheel in '92. That's 17 years ago, so it was quite a while ago. And at the time, I was you're attached to your leader, attached to Darrell Gates, based on his personality. I think as I look back on it now, I think that absolutely that's what had to happen for the city. Now whether or not that chief was effective, that's a whole different thing. But I think that at certain times in our history, it's become very much personality driven, where the chief has become so identified with the department that when the department goes astray, that the chief has to be removed.
Now, you came into the LAPD right around the time where Chief Darrell Gates had just become the chief of the LAPD, I believe in 77, 78. I
think right about that.
How has the LAPD changed since those years to today?
It's changed incredibly. I think that the old style of policing was very much thin blue line model. The police are in charge of public safety, and that's it. We have changed dramatically. We realize that cannot work in a city this big, that it's a collaboration. You have to use the community, you have to use your outside partners, you have to use ideas from all over. You have to reach out, and you have to become a team to affect public safety. It can't just be the police. But the police have a very important role. The police department has to recognize how that role is most effective. And that role is most effective by not targeting outcome inputs, in other words, targeting number of arrests or targeting number of citations, but targeting outcomes such as lower crime, increased public confidence. So I think that we've really changed dramatically, and I am somebody that's experienced the whole all of that change, and as have all the other candidates. So I think a lot of us are in a good place to lead the organization.
How long have you been in the position of Chief of Detectives, and how has that, in your opinion, prepared you to become Chief of the LAPD?
I've been the Chief of Detectives for a year and a half, and I was the Chief of South Bureau for a year and a half before that. So a little over 3 years been a chief. And I think that those two roles really help you. I mean, obviously South Bureau has an enormous need for good policing. And, I think I was able to provide that, work with the community, build partnerships, build collaboration. Chief of Detectives, you're in charge of all the biggest cases, and I run ComStat and a number of other things. So I'm very integral in forming the way the department responds to incidents or to investigations. So a lot of that is part and parcel of being the chief of police.
Now, just recently, a detective was arrested for a murder that happened 20 years ago. Can you?
23 years ago.
23 years ago. I'm surprised that a person was able to hide a very serious crime and then engage themselves as a police officer for so many years. How did that happen? That was a shock to all of us. Obviously I know Detective Lazurus, but I was instrumental in her arrest. And I think that says a lot about the police department, and maybe a little bit about the way it's changed. We follow investigations, we follow crime wherever it leads us.
whether it leads us to Japan or it leads you across the hall into another squad room. That's where we follow it. And we do what's right regardless of who's involved. And that's really important. I think that the public needs to understand that that's what drove Lazurus. Now, whatever reason that she was investigated or whatever reason she didn't get arrested 23 years ago when that crime occurred, I can't fix that now. But I can tell you this, that as soon, and I mean as soon, as the DNA came back on her, I mandated her arrest, and that occurred immediately. You know, you have to understand the law is about everybody, not just citizens. It includes the police.
Well, a lot of people are saying Bratton is leaving at a good time. Budget deficits, increasing crime, a recession that is pretty strong. Are these issues that you think of now, even though you're not the chief yet, or are you just going to wait until you get the position if you do get it?
Oh, I think all of us think about them now. I mean, we're very much the people that run the day-to-day business of the organization, you know, and those things impact us every day. You know, all that is, it's not just the chief's job, that's everybody's job, especially in management.
A lot of your competition for this job are perhaps friends of yours, Earl Pasinger.
They're all friends of mine.
Jim McDonald.
All friends of mine.
Even George Gascon, who's an outsider, outsider. How does it feel going against some people you've known for 20, 25 years?
You know, all of us have competed for jobs all our career. Earl and I studied for sergeant together, lieutenant together. We got promoted up to captain the same day. We've competed for jobs many, many times. It doesn't have anything to do with us being friends or not being friends. We respect each other. Earl would work for me, I would work for Earl. Same with Jimmy. Same with all of them. You know, this is about what's best for the LAPD. I really believe that.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Oh, thank you.